A lot of fun. I regret nothing. I mean, yeah, we had a lot of fun, but it was. But the problem is, it's one of those things, and this happens for me. I got to be very cautious about it at state too, because I'm doing the TV stuff, and I got to make sure I have a voice. But the problem is that it's so loud everywhere that you go, that your standard conversation is happening like this. You've got to be doing, but you don't even realize it. So that's where I mean, we were having scream conversations basically the entirety of Sunday and Monday.
Right, because even when you're like, it doesn't matter where you are. Everywhere that you're at is packed.
And it's packed and it's
packed.
loud.
Whether it's the convention center, whether it's dinner at night, whether it's other fun activities at night, you are consistently screaming.
Yeah. And so but we had a good time. Pickle, is your first coaching school. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. But it was your first coaching school. Did you have a good time?
Absolutely. It was after the 2 years of y'all hyping it up to me.
Mm-hmm. I was worried.
It was, I was gonna say, because y'all sold this. Mm-hmm. Y'all hyped it up to me, and it lived up.
Good.
It was great.
Yeah.
I absolutely. We were in our element. Mallory and I talked about that.
Thanks to all the we'll talk about this about Matthew tomorrow.
Oh yes.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We got a lot of content. How many? I mean, we had. I'm
pretty sure we hit 50 full-length interviews.
As in sit-down interviews.
Anywhere between 5 and 10 minute long interviews. And then we have about 5 bajillion bits.
Yeah.
50, is that all-time high?
It's not.
That's on par?
So here's the thing. It's not.
But
here's the thing. and our high is in the 60s. We did, I want to say we did 68 one year, in 2019. But that comes with a caveat. Because this year, we had 2 sets going. Mm-hmm. And so there were coaches who, we would go, and it's if we had multiple ways of getting content from them, in the sense that we had a bit set where we're asking them to do all sorts of nonsense. That's coming to your YouTube channel here pretty soon, as we edit it. So that if, for example, I was doing an interview with Joseph Sam from Arlington Bowie, right? If I'm doing an interview with him, and another coach from PSJA Memorial walks up, we can put him on the bit set and we can go simultaneous. So we interviewed more coaches than we've ever done. It's just in two different
fashions.
I mean, I would bet
traditional interview.
Do we have any idea how many coaches we had at the bit set? Over 100?
Oh, yeah. Well, and the other thing is, too, a lot of, most of the coaches, I would get to do, 2 different bits because we had them there. Why not? It was fun. So, yeah, we have a buttload of content coming your way.
Basically.
And we're going to have a vlog, too. So we'll have our vlog like we did with the 7-on-7.
We had a big time down there with THSA Coaching School and Convention. I missed you, man. We were, I'll be honest.
We talked about that yesterday.
I'm not here to kiss your butt or anything, but we were out there, we were having a good time, especially Monday night. We went out and we tied one on.
Yeah,
Monday night was fantastic.
We went out there, and it was I know one of the reasons you like working here and working with us is the crew, and it's
right.
and the crew felt incomplete.
Yeah,
it felt empty without my boy.
We missed you.
I have to say that I thought about it a lot.
Yeah.
The FOMO hit.
I really did. And I was driving to work in Waco on Monday.
Oh, no.
So I had to go to work in Waco on Monday. And on the way down there, I thought, I'm halfway.
Just go.
Keep going.
I'm halfway there. I'm halfway there.
Yeah,
I'm almost halfway there.
I could just go. You
so
should.
Then I was the risk, reward.
Here's the thing.
It's already Monday.
Here's the thing. I slept like crap. So, I would have slept on the floor and slept just as good. So you could have just slept in my
bed. I was going to say, your collective 3 hours of sleep wouldn't have been any different on the floor.
Or we could have just
If that phone would, and I know during coaching school, so seriously, people who are listening to this, so you have to set up, right? Especially us DCTF. You have to set up. It's a nice state, nice area set up. Somebody has to do that. You have to go there and you have to man the station during the working hours of the event.
Usually 8 to 5.
So I know that you guys were busy, but on that drive down at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. on Monday morning, if my phone would have rang and someone would have tried to had convinced me, You know what I mean?
Darn
Like,
it.
maybe
Dude,
it
it
would
was
have been like
there.
the thing that.
And then he
Don't
would have
tell
been
me
there for
that.
Monday night too, which was
Yeah, I
the
know,
chef's
well,
kiss
that's-
of the night.
Well,
had
I
our-
heard the Monday night thing too, and if someone would have said, "Hey, you know what? Big events happening tonight, Powers. Where are you?" And I would have been like, "Oh, I'm in Waco." And
Your
like,
ears-
"Oh, well, you're
your ears
virtually in San Antonio."
Your ears should have been burning. We should have sent you a text. And
Dude,
just had you
yeah,
down.
that's on
But-
us. We
but-
failed you.
So we had our, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow. But we had our Dave Campbell social on Monday at the Lone Star Cafe. Thanks to them for. Although I shouldn't say thanks to them. I saw the final bill.
That's not on air conversation.
And we invite a bunch of coaches, bunch of our media jabronis over and stuff like that. Had a great time. And Adam, our boss, like, here's the mark of a good party. And I think he summed it up perfectly. He goes, there were about 10 too many people there. And I'm like, that's the mark of a perfect
Yes.
party, where it's like, it's a little too crowded, a little too loud. It's like, yeah, it's really cooking.
So that was I think that was the pinnacle of the yelling. Like
Oh,
it
oh,
was
it is.
Well, between
so
there and then
loud.
and then where we went from there, we went to another establishment that sells alcohol,
Oh.
and we were there, and that was like a nightclub.
It
at that
really
point.
was.
And you're screaming, trying to have a conversation with a recent Hall of Honor inductee who shall remain nameless, and it's just like you just can't do it.
Well,
It
and
was-
then
I don't know.
that's the
why
other-
you sound
and
like
there's
you did.
there's so many coaches there. They come up and they want to introduce themselves, and you're going, huh? What?
Thanks. It's good to meet you.
Yeah, exactly.
Personally, you mentioned the Hall of Fame inductee, right?
I think we know
On
who
a
we're talking
personal
here.
level, on a personal level, that guy and myself basically came in like right in the same year to kind of start covering this stuff. So our paths have crossed so much. So on a personal level, that was another thing that I really missed.
Dude, he was-
Because just to congratulate for all the hard work that you've seen him do over the years and to be a part of that is something I also thought about while you guys were down there. But dang it, maybe next year.
Next year. Okay, well, no, not maybe next year.
We're gonna
Let's just
get-
say it.
we're-
Next year.
Next
We're
year.
Next year.
speak it
Speak
into
into
existence.
All right, hit the theme expo. Let's go! Free money! Free
Go!
Ain't how to sing the blues, baby. The shot glass in your hand.
From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
It ain't how to sing the blues,
Texas,
baby.
Texas Football Today show.
Shot glass in your
Catching up on
hand.
sleep. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine, texasfootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch.
It's the classic.
Or listen to us on
You know,
podcasts,
it's
which you can
good.
Subscribe to
I
on the
mean, not
podcast vendor of your
because
choice.
Taylor was
Either way,
hurt.
thank you for doing your part. Support your local, mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is our raspy-voiced leader. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. Let's hear from Ashley Pickle.
Howdy.
Oh, no!
It's bad. It's really bad.
Oh, Pickle.
Oh, and just to clear up in the
Pickle.
comments, I did not fall in the river.
No. In
I
fact,
definitely
didn't
did.
I
And
don't
that's
think I saw anybody fall in the river.
no, and
Which is
I
a
was
real
just gonna say,
upset.
like Daniel Agnew had a really good point. Like, if I would have fallen in the river, that would have been the first thing y'all would have heard of. That would have been on Twitter. I did not fall in the
Oh,
river.
no. That would have been the number one thing.
Like, there's no way to hide from that at
No,
that point.
No,
but
no,
I did
you're
not
the
fall.
person. You are forever the person who fell in the river.
Yeah, and
No,
that was
nobody-
not me.
No members of the Dave Campbell staff, I'm sad to say, fell in the river.
Yeah,
I
I was hoping we could get there, but we didn't.
and sitting to my right, he is the president, right? President.
El President?
He's the president
No,
of-
never mind. I'm not going to say that.
He's
That's
the-
somebody else. Somebody owns that.
He's the president of recruiting, just across the entire state of Texas. He's the president of Next Level Athlete. He is our recruiting insider here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. He is Greg Powers. Hello,
What's up,
Greg.
y'all?
It's good to see you, buddy. Good.
Man, what are we? We're just over a month out from
I know.
the start of the
So
Texas
that's
high
the
school
thing.
football season.
That's the thing. Is
Oh, yeah.
Is you go to coaching school
And then it's
and
here.
you come back and it's like, it's on.
We
Yeah.
know, like, there's a plan in place. We know what content's coming now from now until the start of the season, and then it will be here.
The offseason's functionally over.
Right.
We when we were after packing up and walking out of the convention center, we were like, all right, here we go. Like we're walking into the season now.
Today is Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. Oh, it's 7/21/21.
Oh, darn, we missed 7-Eleven.
127 days till Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to DeAndre Jordan. Episode 1205. On today's show, my friends, Powers is here. We're going to do This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete, talking all things recruiting across the state of Texas. Then, we're talking with one of my favorites.
Hashtag
Maximum Bears. Bridgeland quarterback Connor Weigman, the Texas A&M commit. Powers caught up with him, and a guy I think is awesome. A guy, I don't know. I've gone through this. I know I've said this about a number of players, but I think he is the perfect example of a victim of like a loaded position group in a particular recruiting year. That I think a lot of other years, Connor Weigman might be like the guy nobody can shut up about. But because like Ewers and Klubnik and such a great class in 2022, it's like, oh yeah, he's just like he's just part of a deep group.
He's in the top 5, but he's
exactly,
there.
Exactly right.
He is super good.
He's really good.
I'll say that he was the second player in the 2022 recruiting class at the position to earn 4-star status.
Hey, now.
So Ewers was the first 5-star. Weigman was the first 4-star.
There you go.
So his talent was apparent.
That's exactly right. So let's get into it.
Oh, that was a good crack.
Thank you very much.
I gotta have to follow that up with a good cruton.
If this is your first podcast, welcome. I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers, and this is This Week
in Cruton.
Strong.
With Greg Powers, his Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at Next Level D1. D is fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And of course, this segment is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express. Where were we that we saw Chicken E?
Wichita Falls.
We're in Wichita Falls, and we were
almost.
If we literally had not been recommended something else,
like a local place,
we would have been good. But
we still
the
almost
tractor
stopped.
beam was on. And
yeah.
We were like, oh, there you are.
What day was it?
This was last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll say I held it down for y'all at the Chicken Express. So tried something new. Had the jalapeno mini poppers for the first time, and they're really good. They're different. Instead of having like a traditional
bacon around it.
Well, they're deep fried cheese and jalapeno, but instead of the cheese being inside the jalapeno is chopped up in the cheese, and it was pretty strong. And shout out to Karen at the Hillsboro Chicken Express. Okay,
right.
She's always doing me right over there. Worked a 7:30 to 9 shift to take care of all of our needs out there, and the lunch was excellent.
Shout out, Karen. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers and Next Level Athlete. Let's start with our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise, let's go down to Greater Alvin, let's say, to 2022 Manville offensive guard Tevin Shaw. He has committed. He has offers from places like Texas State, Colorado State, Nevada, etc. He is going to stay local, play for Dana Holgerson and those Cougs. Tevin Shaw committed to Houston this past week, and a guy who you think is on the rise and a guy who's starting to climb up those recruiting ladders.
Well, what I really like about him is he's been able to show on tape strength, but meeting with his coaches, going through the whole scouting process as we evaluate these guys throughout the state, on a very in-depth behind-the-scenes type of thing, his weight room numbers weren't exactly up to what he shows on the field, which to me just tells you how much better he's going to be as he gains strength to go with his size, right? Yeah. So he's a guy who's trending upwards in the weight room, but already has the tape to earn. I mean, he's a double-digit offers guy. He didn't have a ton of P5 offers, but he's really talented. I would describe him as a mauler at the point of attack. And what I really like about this year's Manville team too is they've got it in the trenches. You don't, I think, traditionally think. They've had some good defensive linemen over the years, some solid offensive linemen. But I think they're deeper and more balanced up front on both sides of the ball. And I think that's what's going to make them a title contender this year. They're a team to really watch. And Houston going into what I think has to be like if you're the Houston Cougars, Dana Holgerson, Manville's got to be like a school that you're at all the time. Like you got to be recruiting a school to have a pipeline into Manville is a big deal. They've only got 4 high school commitments right now. 2 of them are from the Houston area now, with Tevin Shaw at Manville, Cardale Pat at Stafford. So I think that's got to be a focus for them. There's so much talent in Houston, and really out of any other big city in the state, Houston to me has the most under the radar talent consistently. There are guys there who can really play that need more, not exposure's not the right word, but there are guys there who people don't know about.
One of the things that watching his film is this is a guy that very clearly, look, at the point of attack he's excellent, but he can move a little bit too. You know what I mean? I think that there's maybe this notion of okay, well you're an interior lineman, that means you're not very mobile. I mean, seeing him, like, the footwork's pretty sound. He they're on kind of a trap play right there. He kind of pulls around and the footwork's really sound. But this is a guy who's got some legs underneath him. He's not just a big body. The big body helps, and he can push some people around up front, but he's not that kind of guy who's just like, I'm a wall, you're going to have to run around me.
Rankings purposes wise, a lot of guys that you see towards the top of the list are guys who are tackles in high school who can project to play inside, but most of the time they're playing left or right tackle, and all the people who go out and do rankings and make them public are going to latch onto those guys first because they're typically more athletic. But sometimes they just don't have that mentality to play the interior. This is a guy who you don't have to worry about.
Most certainly. Keep an eye on him. He's the newest commitment to the Houston Cougars. It is Manville offensive guard Tevin Shaw. Let's get to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week, and I know that the last guy was a commit of the week. We have different categories. He committed. Denton Ryan cornerback Austin Jordan has committed. He had offers, most notably from Oklahoma and Ohio State, but the Texas Longhorns beat out those two for the number 23 ranked player in the DCTF Hot 100. Denton Ryan cornerback Austin Jordan. Give me a little bit of a snapshot on what the Longhorns are getting out of this Denton Ryan playmaker.
Well, I love his versatility first and foremost. He's a guy who, to me, he's always been a lockdown island type of guy with size, right? Like he's a guy who's been battle tested, plays at one of the top programs in the state, plays against top teams all the time, and he's super consistent. I think that's something that's overlooked a lot of times when you're talking about defensive backs. And I was reading some stuff surrounding his commitment to Texas, and there were some who felt like he had a down season in what was Denton Ryan's state championship run last year in comparison to his sophomore season where, he blew up and got all these offers. And I don't think I agree with it, and here's why. Mm-hmm. If you're playing corner and they're not talking about you, that means you're really good.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like a little different.
I don't want to compare playmakers, but let's talk about Denver Harris. Denver Harris, I haven't seen his stats. I bet they stink. I bet his stats absolutely stink. He might have 1 interception and 3 pass breakups or something like that. But if anything, that's because they know not to throw to him, at him. That's one of those things that you've got to make sure you have that playmaking. If you have that playmaking ability, he's that guy. And I think that in Austin Jordan, you're right. The less you hear about him, the better. It's kind of the way to think about it with cornerbacks.
His sophomore season, they were playing in the Star, and I was standing on the sidelines with DCTF's own William Wilkerson.
Hi, Will.
And I said, Will, this guy's going to be an elite national type of guy. And I stand by that. And his track times are sneaky good. He's a sub 1100 meter guy who has, the size and physicality of a safety. So I think that he could play corner, nickel, or safety at Texas. I kind of like him as a corner, sticking at the next level, but he can do so many different things. And as I look deeper into this cycle of 2022 recruits in state, the defensive back class is pretty good, because there are guys I think now down into, I think Terrence Brooks, who's committed to Ohio State, is around that 30 to 35 range. Austin Jordan's number 23. You have Julian Humphrey, who's in the 30 to 35 range. I think all those guys are risers. As I put together the next top 100, which will come out preseason before the start of the year, those are guys who are going to creep up in these rankings, and there are a couple of those guys who I've earmarked as being guys. By the time the dust settles, that all the national guys are like, oh well, how did we not have these guys rated in the top 10 at the beginning of this?
The newest Texas Longhorn commit, Austin Jordan from Denton. Ryan, we're talking This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete, here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. Let's go to our underclassmen of the week. Let's talk about a 4-star running back out of the Fort Worth area, Sergio Snyder. He is of note today because he has transferred. He is transferring. He was at Fort Worth Nolan Catholic. He is transferring for the 2021 season over to Arlington Martin to play for Bob Wager's squad. There's a guy already with 14 offers. And what's interesting to me is here's a guy who last year I think popped off the tape, and that's getting half the carries because
Right.
Mego was there too. So here's a guy that maybe when he can become a showcase back could give you those kind of showcase numbers and kind of, I think, put himself on that big platform.
Arlington's back.
Yeah.
Arlington ISD, as far as top talent is concerned, I mean, they never really went anywhere, right?
Yeah.
But next year, I think, is going to be a loaded year in that district, in the city. And those are some, I always talk about that. You'll have to tell me which district it is. The Flower Mound, Marcus, Hebron.
Yeah, it's District 6.
Is it
665.
6? Yeah. District 6 is always like.
I like to think of it as the Coppell district.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Go on.
I always love that district because of the they're like traditional rivalries. All the games are hard hitting. Well, this is probably number 2 for me. I love watching these games, and he brings that blue collar mentality. I think he's a tough in the middle of the field runner, and Arlington Martin is loaded with top talent heading into next year. And there are a lot of guys in that city that we're keeping a close eye on, and I think like a lot of the recruiting guys who are on the recruiting beat are going to be traveling down there to see these guys play next year. It's going to be like a hotbed.
Yeah, and here's a guy. I think it's going to be really interesting because, and I don't think this is necessarily fair, but I think that there is a notion that at the private school level, you're held to a different standard because private schools, I think it's fair to say that the teams are not as bunched together as far as quality is concerned. That there are teams like, they're really, really good. Fort Worth Nolan's a perfect example. Really, really good teams. But there are also teams that they're going to go out there and play. They're going to straight up overmatch. You know what I mean? And so I think sometimes, here's an example of a guy who's not going to go play at Arlington Martin. Well, Arlington Martin, as good as they are, they're not going to overmatch a ton of teams simply because I think that the consistency of quality is a little bit better at the public school ranks. And so I think that's what's going to be particularly interesting here is watching him week in and week out playing against what's going to be really elite competition. That's not. I hope that's not coming off as disrespectful to the private school ranks. It's just to say that I think that the gap between the haves and the have-nots at the private school ranks is a little bit wider than it is at the public school ranks, which may give Sergio Snyder an opportunity here at Arlington Martin to really flash what he can do on a consistent basis.
I don't think it's any disrespect to say, Nolan Catholic was one of the most loaded teams in the state last year with D1 talent.
Dude, they were ridiculous.
They have a lot of really good players, but what you're going to be facing in the city of Arlington is quite different on the defensive side of the football, the depth, the size. All that stuff is going to be quite different for Sergio Snyder, and I think that he's one of these guys who's going to rise to the occasion. He's one of the best running backs in the state.
Yes.
And he's going to be on a bigger stage playing 6A ball for sure. You know, that where he's going to be on TV more, he's going to be on the highlights more, and people are going to know him a little bit better just from playing at one of the top schools in the state. And Fort Worth Nolan Catholic is a team that went to the state championship game last year. So I mean, he emerged there, got 14 offers there. I'm not going to say that he's going to get more offers playing at Arlington Martin, but he's going to get. We're going to talk about him probably more here.
It's going to be interesting to watch simply because whenever you have a big time playmaker like that moving from the private school ranks to the public school ranks, it's always interesting to see what the difference is because we know there's just exceptional talent at the private school ranks. But I think that it's a little bit interesting whenever you watch guys go from the private school ranks. How do they adjust? Is there an adjustment period going to the public school?
If anything, when he is successful, I think it's an endorsement for some of the private school teams to say, hey, this is the type of talent we have, and they can also be successful here.
And not that we'll get off of this here in just a second, but I think it's worth mentioning that I do think that the private school ranks remain pretty underrated. And if you were talking about, I think there were times in the past. I use TCU as a good example. TCU made a living whenever they were in the Mountain West and whenever they were kind of before they got to the Big 12 of going and finding these diamonds in the rough. I think that if those diamonds in the rough exist anymore, they might be at the private school ranks because especially at the 11th, you go to at this point, you go to Monday, there's going to be recruiters at Monday High School. You know what I mean? But I think that if you're looking for those guys that are maybe flying under the radar, the private schools maybe have a greater depth of that simply because they do not get that kind of spotlight that the public schools do.
And I, covering a lot of teams in other states throughout the years, I always am curious, what would it be like if Prestonwood, Fort Worth Nolan Catholic, Parish Episcopal was competing against the top teams in Oklahoma week in and week out? Because what we're up against here in Texas is we've got a lot of good football, guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good football.
Yeah, everywhere you look.
And I think these teams, if you plugged them and played them in different states, the private school teams here in Texas would compete for championships.
Most certainly.
So.
Most certainly. All right, let's get on to our recruit of the week, and we're going to stick in the private school ranks. Talking about 2022 Argyle Liberty Christian athlete Christian Driver. You may recognize the last name. He is the son of former All-Pro wide receiver Donald Driver, and he is going to be pulling the trigger in about a week. Thanks a lot, dude. You could do it before next week, this week in recruiting, but instead we're going to have to wait 2 weeks to talk about where you commit. But no, Christian Driver from Argyle Liberty Christian has 43 offers. He's our number 16 prospect in the DCTF Hot 100. Again, talk about the depth and the private school ranks. Also, he is our private school cover boy, the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Let's talk about feel where he might land. What's the thought among the brain trust in the recruiting world about where he might land?
I think he's going to Penn State. I mean,
okay.
That's where I think he ends up. That was one of his first. I mean, he's got 43 offers, y'all. 43. So he's one of the most heavily recruited prospects in the state, regardless of position. And he has that, as you talked about, that tradition, that lineage connection to the NFL through his father, and has just grown up as one of these top guys. I mean, he emerged on the scene as a freshman and hasn't looked back. I think there was some debate for me within my own head as I thought about him, was safety or wide receiver going to be his best position, because he was really good at safety during his younger days. He could play both ways. He still does play both ways a lot. But, man, he's really good with the football in his hands. And one thing I notice about watching his tape is that he gets separation. He's able to separate from defensive backs and runs really good routes. To me, he's one of the guys on the Texas high school football scene this year who's not talked about enough for whatever reason. I don't know how he's got 40. He's the son of Donald Driver. He's got 43 offers. And to me, there's cover boy.
Yeah, cover boy.
So he does have some exposure, but I just feel like as I sit down and talk to my buddies, we have these conversations about the great football players in the state, and he's to me not in those discussions enough.
Right. And I think, again, we've harped on it a lot in today's show, but a lot of it I think has to do with just the private school ranks and how those are. I think those don't get the same kind of spotlight that the public schools do, just by virtue of the fact that the vast majority of high school football in the state is public school. But yeah, there's big time playmakers there, and Christian Driver is one of those guys who is going to make some team very happy next week after this week in recruiting. Thanks, dude. No, I'm kidding.
We got somebody up our sleeves for next week, I think.
Ooh,
We'll see.
that is what we call
That's a tease.
a horizontal tease. Vertical tease? Anyway, Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter, Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Stick around because you're going to introduce the next segment.
Sounds good.
We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbells, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Hey, I got a great pitch for you. Become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. If you become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider today, you can listen to a new Tep and Step that just dropped this morning. This morning, it's up on the site. It's in the feed of all these. Everyone who's a subscriber is their phone's blowing up. It's oh, new Tep and Step. Also, awesome. Wherein Matt Stepp and I welcome in a very special secret guest to talk about live on tape from the Texas High School Coaches Association Coaching School and Convention. We go for about 45 minutes talking about the nonsense that goes on there and how fun it was there. You do not want to miss this groundbreaking episode of Tep and Step. Available only Texas Football Insiders at texasfootball.com/subscribe. Felt like I give you something to listen to.
I'll be listening to it.
And also you get a magazine and 2 magazines and years of exclusive online content.
But mainly the groundbreaking Tep and Step.
The groundbreaking Tep and Step with a special super secret
I guess I
guest.
need to listen to see who y'all got as a guest.
I guess so.
I not only eat Chicken Express every day, I listen to all the shows as well.
My guy. Dude. My guy.
Let's talk a little bit about who you talked about this. Wow.
All right, and 3, 2, 1, and go.
Hey, Powers, who'd you talk to this week?
We talked to Cypress Bridgeland, stud, quarterback, baseball player, Mr. Do-It-All there, Connor Weigman, who's made his commitment to Texas A&M. The future is bright in Aggieland.
Let's hear from Bridgeland quarterback Connor Weigman. #MaximumBears on Texas Football Today.
Greg Powers, TexasFootball.com, and I'm out here with Cypress Bridgeland quarterback Connor Weigman. Man, big senior season coming up for you. Just kind of talk about how the team's looking. I know you're probably excited to be a senior leader on the team, but you stay busy playing a lot of sports.
I mean, it's good. We lost a lot of seniors last year. We're just out here trying to build some team chemistry and learn through this competition.
One thing that's been impressive to me is watching you guys develop. I mean, you guys came right out of the gates as a new school strong, and you've been there basically every step of the way. So I know that this next year has got to be really special for you.
I mean, for sure, just go out with a bang. That's what we keep telling. That's what all the seniors are saying. We need to push the younger kids to be better than they think they could possibly be. And I think it's going to be a tough, fun challenge.
Watching you go through the whole recruiting process and getting a lot of attention, going to the national scene, how have you been dealing with it? I mean, what do you try to do to stay humble and make sure that you stay focused on the right things?
I mean, I don't really pay attention to all that. I just try and keep my nose down and keep working hard and just staying in the gym, and I'll keep my mind in a good place.
You've made your commitment to Texas A&M. What was it about the Aggies program that really made you interested, to stay close to home, playing state?
I mean, Coach Fisher, he has a long track record of working with really good quarterbacks. I mean, the atmosphere in College Station is unbelievable. And the thing that made me commit was the people. The people are amazing.
Kind of give the fans of Texas A&M a look at what you're bringing to the table. Is there a quarterback you feel like you play like, look like, or are you an original, unique type of guy?
I mean, I like to watch Patrick Mahomes, but I want to be the first Connor Weigman. So,
kind of talk about what your biggest strengths are. You feel like as a quarterback,
just being able to keep my eyes downfield and move in the pocket.
A lot of really exciting recruiting stuff going on in College Station right now. I mean, as I'm doing this interview, I'm looking across and I see one of your O-line commits right in front of me, and playing on the field is another guy that Texas A&M's offered, a tight end from Hazlitt Eaton. But it seems like everywhere I go, there's a lot of people talking about the Aggies. What is the excitement going on in College Station? Why is there so much excitement?
I mean, the buzz is crazy. I mean, we're trying to build a national champion contender type team, and if you get the right people around, I feel like we can get it done.
What's next for you, man? You got any big camps coming up? What do you got coming? What's going on next?
I'm leaving Wednesday for the Elite 11 in LA. That should be a blast.
That's Elite 11 finalist Connor Weigman, man. Thanks for the time. Congratulations on all your success, and of course, good luck in your senior season at Cypress Bridgeland.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Quick transition.
Here we are.
Thanks.
I have to say that was a great shot, though. Like, that was
chilling.
That shot sold subscriptions.
If you've ever wondered what we do during these interviews, we take off the headphones. And
that was me smiling at listening to Tepper talk about the behind the scenes at coaching school.
Anyway,
y'all didn't get to hear it, but it was interesting.
Thanks to our producer.
I turned to look. I was like, "Oh, we're probably getting close to time." I look, and it said 2 seconds, and I was like, it's happening. It's just going to happen.
Anyway, there's Connor Weigman, the quarterback from Bridgeland, the Texas A&M commit. I think I've gone on long enough about how much I like Connor Weigman. I think he's great. It's appreciate his time at the State 7-on-7 tournament. And you mentioned this. That's the last one. It's the last 7-on-7 content. If only we had another place to get some content from. Just a shame.
It looks like we got to find a convention or something to go to.
Now we go over. Let's see. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm good. Graphics already up.
Okay, we can bring it to you.
Yeah.
Do you need another minute? Let's go over to Ashley Pickle, America's second favorite segment, Final Thought. That's the problem with working with me. The problem with working with me is that like I'm not gonna get mad at you if there's like a production botch, because
No.
I don't really care.
You're just not gonna let it go.
But I will roast you.
I think it would have
Which
been
is fair.
It would have been really funny if America's second favorite segment was her talking, but my face still stuck onto the.
That'd be really good.
Stuck onto the camera.
All right, go ahead, Pickle.
Goodness. There were some questions about when the interviews will be coming out from coaching school. Those are going to be coming out like intermittently. Like we're gonna really hound on them, get some done this week, and then really get most of them done next week. But you will be able to. There is enough content there for you to watch for the entire month of August. So
I mean, that's
yeah.
like the reason. The other reason that like my voice, it's better than it was. But you also saw I was pounding those Ricolas.
Yeah.
Those things. And the thing was, because I was doing Steph and I were doing all those interviews with coaches and stuff, and it was just boom, 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 boom. I mean, it was a constant stream of coaches coming by, and so
we're gonna get them all up, but it is going to take a minute to get all of that up because there's a lot of editing to be done.
This is true, I ran to Vince Young's uncle.
Did you tell him to come get the trophy? I didn't know that till now.
I literally did. I told him. Because one of the things I did at the coaching school was our friends at the Texas Bowl asked me to be the MC of like a panel they had. So Wade Phillips and Jackie Sherrill and Dick Olin and stuff. A bunch of these, like Jerry Gray was up there.
And they needed TV's very own Greg Tepper.
They needed an MC. They had a list of 12 guys, and all of them said they couldn't do it, so they called me. But he came up to me, and Vince Young was not there, but he was inducted into the Gridiron Legends program there with the Texas Bowl. And so his uncle was there. He goes, well, I'm that's my nephew. And I go, I have his Player of the Year award in Louisville.
So if you're going to accept his entry into the Gridiron Legends, you can also accept this
poor
trophy.
man walked up and just wanted to say, hey, great job. By the way, Vince Young is my nephew. That's all I wanted to do. And then I said, I've been doing a podcast for 6 years trying to get his attention. Please. It's the closest I've ever come.
Me.
By the way, the trophy's not in.
Oh, it's not in.
It's
mint
not
condition.
in mint condition any longer.
There's a corner there that's been chipped. Another chip out of here. So you better come get it before it's just a pile of rubble. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at TCTF. Like us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram. Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks again to Bridgeland quarterback Connor Weigman for being our guest. For Greg Powers and Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.